Ever wonder why you can't stop craving sugar even when you know it's not good for you? What if I told you it's not just about willpower, but about what's happening inside your body? Hey there, I'm Dr. Nana. I'm a Quansah, and in today's video, I'm sharing an exclusive interview from the Crush Your Cravings Summit, where I sat down with my friend Kathy to uncover the real reason behind sugar cravings and their deep connection to blood sugar imbalances, insulin resistance, and even type 2 diabetes. In this video or interview, you will discover the surprising link between sugar cravings and blood sugar spikes, how cravings can be an early warning sign of insulin resistance, and the root causes behind your uncontrollable cravings and how to fix them for good. So if you've been struggling with intense sugar cravings, energy crashes, or feeling like food is controlling you, this is for you. By the end of this interview, you understand exactly what's happening in your body and practical steps to take to control your cravings naturally. So let's dive in.
How does that blood sugar imbalance contribute to a cycle of cravings?
I guess I would start off by saying that, the pull for that sweet or even, those comforting foods and stuff after a long day, something that we all go through. I go through it. I love my chocolate chips, okay? So it's just as if we can't really resist it. But the truth of the matter is it's more than just a lack of willpower. Right? It's more than that. When you think of cravings, you want to think of it as your body telling you that there's something going on, right? It stems from imbalances in the body. And the imbalances in the body that drives cravings are some of the imbalances that also drive type 2 diabetes. So they are definitely connected. So the connection happens whenever we eat foods, right? Especially when it comes to sugar, starchy foods, right? Our blood sugar naturally spikes. So there's an increase in concentration. So when that happens, your body, in response to that, it releases something called insulin, which is a hormone I'm sure you've talked about in your series. It releases insulin and then it brings it down. When it brings it down, it often leads to something called blood sugar crash. And this is when, you see yourself being so tired, you're like craving certain things. So what happens is you're tired, you're like moody a little bit, you're like a bit irritable. And then it also activates the craving center in our brain. So it really is like the brain will be like, no, I want some sweet now, right? So this is when you grab that sugary food or the sweet or whatever, and then you eat it just to satisfy yourself. And you feel good at the moment because it releases something called dopamine, which is giving you that happy, high feeling, right? So once that happens, it's giving you a reward. You love it, but it doesn't last forever. It doesn't last forever. So when it wears off, your brain is like, okay, why am I not getting this high anymore? I want something. I want something else. So your brain actually is craving for that feel-good connection again. And that's when the cycle happens. So blood sugar spikes when it goes up and that crashes come down. That crash or that down level is what actually activates that craving center in your brain. And that goes on with you crave, you eat, you consume, and then you eat again, and that's what leads to that as well.
What about the connection between cravings and that type 2 diabetic? Can you kind of talk us through?
Yeah, sure. So over time, this cycle that we are talking about can lead to something called insulin resistance, right? Insulin resistance is really when the cells of your body do not respond to insulin effectively anymore. So it leads to a bigger question, which is like more, now you're having a lot of high blood sugar, high insulin, because now your body is like, okay, let me release insulin to bring it down, but the cells are not working good, right? It's not even taking on this glucose in. So now you have high blood sugar levels, high insulin, and then that lays I'll say a groundwork for type 2 diabetes to happen over time. If this pattern, if it consistently happens, it's going to lay that groundwork for type 2 diabetes to develop. So it really stems from that insulin resistance that drives type 2 diabetes.
And is it, I kind of give analogy to like Pac-Man. So the
Yeah.
job of insulin is to come and eat up that sugar, that excess sugar in your bloodstream, and usher it into the cells. When your insulin becomes resistant, it's there, but it's no longer pulling it no longer opening the door into your cells.
Yes.
Is the proper?
Yes, you're correct. So the cells are not really responding to insulin properly. It's not effective, right? So the sugar delivery system is really out of whack. It's not really happening, for lack of better words. It's out of whack. It's not responding. So now your body thinks that you don't even have insulin to bring down that high glucose level. So what your body does is it keeps producing insulin because it doesn't know that there's some issue going on. So now you have that high blood sugar. You also have high insulin, which is causing the weight gain that people are having troubles even losing, right? It causes energy issues, and that issue also even causes blood sugar problems, like blood pressure problems, high cholesterol. So it goes down.
Yeah.
It trickles down.
So let's get back to cravings. Now, what are those root causes of the cravings?
So now we've established the connection between the sugar spikes, the cravings, and diabetes, right? So one of the things that you have to realize, obviously from what we've talked so far, is we have to have a steady blood sugar levels, right? But then it raises a bigger question. Why are we having this blood sugar spike in the first place? And most importantly, how can we still enjoy our sweet without triggering this roller coaster? Right? And also even ending up leading to addiction cycles that really make us feel worse. So the answer to that is getting to the root cause, because cravings is just a symptom. Like we mentioned before, it's just your body signaling that, hey, Nana, something is going on with your body. You got to pay attention. So we've already mentioned one root cause, which is the blood sugar spikes. Like fluctuations in your blood sugar can lead to you having intense cravings. Another one is nutrient deficiency. So when your body lacks essential nutrients, right? Now it wants quick energy sources, right? Because like when we eat, we get nutrients from the food that we eat, right? We're not just eating because we want to eat. We're eating because we want to get the nutrient from the food. So when you're lacking all these essential nutrients, your body now wants quick energy sources, right? Good nutrient or essential nutrient is magnesium, right? Magnesium is it's for energy production. It's also for blood sugar imbalances as well. So, and also it helps with synthesis of serotonin, which is a neurotransmitter that affects mood and appetite. So when you don't have enough magnesium, your potential of having cravings will be high because you have imbalance of serotonin, and that can also potentially lead to cravings as well. And, vitamin B12, and even B6, or even the whole vitamin B, all these things also can cause cravings. So vitamin B is also like a cofactor for energy production as well, and also for nervous system function. So when you don't have enough vitamin B in your body, you can have intense cravings as well. And I like the fact that you even brought the neuropathy. A lot of people are on a medication called metformin. I'm sure people are familiar with that drug. That drug depletes vitamin B12. Right? B12 we need it for all this energy thing that I've talked about so far. So if you're listening and you're on metformin, you want to make sure you're replenishing your body with B12, because lack of that can also even lead to you having that neuropathy and also cravings. So all these things are connected, right?
Yeah.
Another one I can think of is chromium. Chromium is also like an essential nutrient. But that, and also iron, a lot of people don't know about it, but iron also helps, transport oxygen and also for energy metabolism. So if you're lacking that, it can also contribute to the cravings that most people are experiencing.
So can you help us? All of these, the B12, magnesium, chromium, and iron, are they in high enough doses in your regular, one a day vitamin, or
they could be in it, or you can also get, like, especially with magnesium, you can still supplement it, because so I'll put it this way. Our nutrients, they are in foods, right? But now the modern world that we are in, our soils are not that great. So they're putting pesticides. So even if you're eating all this good food, you're really ingesting all these pesticides and all sort of stuff that are messing with your body. So yeah, supplementation is good, but you can also get it from food. Like with magnesium, you can get it from leafy greens, nuts and seeds, whole grains. These are all foods that you can get magnesium from, right? So you can supplement them and also be eating all the food. So those are the sources that you can get those from. But the most important thing, obviously, is to get tested, because you want to make sure that you're not, deficient in it first.
Okay. Yeah. And then what about chromium? What foods are high in chromium?
I can't think of anything right now, but I can always list some for you. But that's a good supplementation that you can do, because it also helps with blood sugar regulation as well. So chromium not only helps with cravings, but it can also help with blood sugar regulation.
Okay.
And we know that if you regulate your blood sugar, it can help with craving.
Yes. And the root cause of your weight issues as well as diabetes are, that cravings. And so that's why we're here trying to solve that one problem.
But most importantly, when you think of foods, just think of the nutrient dense foods, not particular this one is better than the other. So far as there's all those veggies, leafy green veggies, nuts and seeds, whole grains. These are things that you want to incorporate in your routine. Right. So if you start putting all these stuff in your routine, you're being consistent with it, it can definitely help.
Yes.
Yeah. And another root cause could be gut, right? Gut health is a big one. Everyone is talking about it, right? And when it comes to gut health, an unhealthy gut can actually intensify cravings as well. Because what happens is our gut has good and bad bacteria. And when we are eating the sugar, it's feeding the bad bacteria in our gut, right? So that also intensifies like your cravings and stuff. And I'm not sure whether you've heard something called leaky gut.
Yes.
Have you heard leaky gut? So leaky gut is basically so everyone has we have a lining in our gut that kind of filtrate the bad and the good stuff, right? But when that lining is compromised, now everything just enters it. We have our toxins, the junk food that we eat, all those things are getting into our bloodstream, right? So it messes with that lining in our gut that is supposed to serve as a protection or a defense mechanism for us. So then you end up with leaky gut. Leaky gut can also, if you have that, it's contributing to you having cravings as well, because you're messing with the neurotransmitters, the GABAs and the serotonins that also help regulate all these appetite and things for us.
I
so
see.
You definitely need to make sure that we are improving on our gut health. And I can share some tips. I don't know whether
I'd love.
Yeah. So, for one, fermented foods, right? Those are good stuff that you want to incorporate. And these can be sauerkraut, yogurt, kefir is also a good one. And some people, I know you've heard kombucha, right? But, it's like a big thing. But if you have blood sugar issues already, or if you're dealing with type 2 diabetes, you need to be very cautious. Yes, it helps. It's fermented beverage. It helps. But it has a lot of high sugar content. So you got to make sure you're reading this label, right?
Yeah. I actually, I don't remember the which one it is, but I do have on my list of 5 grams of sugar or less drinks. I have a kombucha that is 5, a couple of them that have less than 5 grams. And, you bring up a very good point, Dr. Nana. Many of the kombucha are in, say 18 or 16 ounce bottles, but really be careful and look at the labels, because the serving size is 8 ounces and you might be getting upwards of 24 grams of sugar if you're not careful, if you're not looking at the serving size. So that is a very good point. But I do have one on my
on
list.
your list,
Yes.
And it's also pretty, Kathy, it's quite acidic, so it irritates the lining of your gut a bit. So if you're a person that is already dealing with acid reflux, heartburn, things of that nature, it can actually worsen your condition. So I usually try to refrain from giving general recommendations, because even though they are good, it does not apply to everybody, because everyone is different. So, if you're dealing with these conditions, you don't want to be taking that, because it can irritate it and make it worse.
Agreed.
And, probiotics can also be a good option. You have to make sure you know the bacteria that you're actually, probiotics just you're feeding your body with live bacteria. So you want to make sure you know the right ones. Everyone is different, so it's not like a general recommendation. So probiotics, fermented foods, like we mentioned, can also help with gut health as well.
Can you give us some ideas or some tips on really how to deal with root causes of cravings, but help with these different triggers?
Okay, so let's put it in two different categories, right? Because I know we are all busy, and sometimes it can get a bit overwhelming, because we are all professionals and we have a busy life, right? So let's put it in two categories, maybe a short-term one and a long-term one. So the short-term one, let's think of incorporate more proteins, right? So if we eating more proteins, especially in the mornings, research has shown that if we eat proteins in the morning, we can actually curb our cravings later on during the day. So that's something that you want to do. You can add some chia seeds to your breakfast, sprinkle it on some stuff, and add that protein. Another one is hydration. We always mistake thirst for hunger. So you want to make sure, a lot of people don't like drinking water. So what you can do, you can just put a splash of lemon in it. You can infuse it with some fruit. Just those delightful ways of drinking it will really help you, right? Another one can be, if you're eating, let's say if you're at a restaurant, even at home, right? You want to always eat your sweets as a dessert, not as a snack. So provided you're eating a really good balanced meal, that balanced meal will act as a buffer, and it will actually help that it will prevent you from spiking your sugar.
So can you tell us how protein, when you eat a sweet or a carb, actually prevents the spike versus maybe a rolling release of the insulin and a rolling release of the blood sugar?
So you always want to pair your food with proteins and healthy fat, right? So with, let's say, fiber, they slow down digestion, so it prevents your sugar from spiking. If you add in more proteins, it also prevents you from spiking. So remember the graph but the thing I did like that when I was, introducing the connection between the spikes and the cravings. If it's spiking, it's not going to spike. It's going to be steady. It's going to be steady. So if you add in or pairing your foods with protein and healthy fat, instead of you having that spike in sugar, it's actually going to help it. And everyone is different. So you have to try different stuff different proteins, different healthy fat that will help you have that steady blood sugar level. So adding proteins, hydrating, pairing your food with proteins and healthy fat, and also eating it as a dessert instead of a snack, because that fiber in your food, provided you're eating a healthy food, right, that fiber will actually prevent blood sugar spike. So it will seem as if you did not even eat that dessert. So it will be steady on the graph. If you have a CGM, you can always tell that it's like steady instead of it spiking. So these are little tricks that you can do now. Another thing, obviously, the big one is comprehensive testing, right? And that's a big one, because that's one of the ways to actually address the root causes that are aggravating your symptoms. The short-term goals is what you can actually help. And I also have an acronym called BALANCE, right? So BALANCE, the first one is breathe deeply to decrease your stress. right? So this, and when you're decreasing your stress, it can help with your hormone regulations as well. And stress can be different for everyone. You know, some people walking might help, journaling might help, running might help, brisk walking. So you have to find the ones that work for you and your lifestyle. For me per se, I don't like going to the gym, but when I walk, I relieve a lot of stress. So I like walking. Okay, someone else can go to the gym and be doing all these intense activities, and that could help. So you have to be in the habit of being in tune with what you like, and then you can implement that as well. The A is really assessing the food that we talked about, and that is making sure that your food has nutrient dense things in it. It's nutrient dense. You're not only focusing on calories, you're making sure that the foods are really nutrient dense, where you're not eating junk food as well. L is load up on fiber. We've talked about fiber. It slows down the digestion, and it also helps prevent blood sugar spikes, because our body do not digest fiber well, so it takes a longer time. So that when you incorporate in fiber in your diet, it prevents blood sugar spikes. The next A is add proteins. We've talked about it helps with the steady energy, and especially in the morning, if you incorporate more proteins in the morning, it will curb the cravings during the day. So you realize that you're not really craving for more things than you used to have before. The fifth one, which is the N, is nurture your gut, right? And we've talked about that stress also will help even with the gut, the fermented foods. But all these things, even with gut, right, you want to know what is actually causing it. Because I recently did a comprehensive testing for a gut test for one of my clients. Two of them actually ended up with H. pylori, which is a bacteria. So all these things, you don't know what is causing your gut problems, right? So these are things that will really help if you're testing. If you're not testing, you're really guessing, right? So these are just things that you can do for now before you do the testing. And then the C is calming your mind, right? Or calm your mind with mindfulness. So these can definitely help with emotional triggers, and I'm sure you have someone probably talking about emotional eating and emotional triggers and things like that, so they'll get more insights with that. And the last one is ensure you have quality sleep, because that's so important. We always put sleep at the back burner. We don't even think of it whenever we are talking about strategies, but it's really important for us to have good enough sleep. It restores our body. It helps the regulation of hormones and things like that. So that's the acronym that I have, and I hope that serves a good purpose for your audience as well. So it's a roadmap for lasting health.
I love it. I love it. And I know that you have a free gift for us. Can you share that with us?
Yes. So we talked about, the connection of the blood sugar spikes and the diabetes and all that. And so the guide is Crack the Code. It's more so diving deeper into the root causes, comprehensive testing that you can do, and also strategies to help you balance that blood sugar. Because most importantly, a lot of people don't think that they have blood sugar issues, right? Because they don't have diabetes, but we all have blood sugar spiking going on. So there's strategies in there for that. So I want you to explore more into the root causes. There's comprehensive testing ideas that you can also explore. And once you get it, you just get those information from me as well. Then we'll just dive deeper with the strategies.